5th. While wandering through an electronics store, my eyes drifted toward the newest televisions on display. And in that moment, an old door inside my mind creaked open. A childhood memory I hadn't touched in years came quietly back to me. As a child, I loved taking things apart. Opening something up and seeing how it worked was more fascinating to me than playing with it. That's why I never had a toy that stayed intact for long. My curiosity always broke them open. One day, I must have been 6, I found the chance to open our old tube television. I felt like I was uncovering the secret machinery of the world as I unscrewed that heavy box. But then, a strange feeling climbed onto my shoulder, as if someone was watching me from above. I remember lifting my head and looking up, not at the sky, but into an empty space. Yet that emptiness felt full of eyes, full of presence. I never understood why that moment had felt so strange. Yesterday, as I looked at the televisions in the store, that memory returned, and with it, the same feeling, as if a small child was watching me from above the shelves. And then it struck me. That child was me. My 6-year-old self. Yesterday, I was looking back into the past, and years ago, perhaps the past had sensed the future looking toward it. Time suddenly felt like a window opened from both sides. One thought came to my mind. When I looked upward as a child, was I sensing the person I would one day become? And today, when I look upward, am I touching the eyes of that child again? Maybe time isn't as straight as we imagine. Sometimes the past remembers us. Sometimes we step into the shadow of a future we don't yet understand. And sometimes, 2 versions of ourselves send signals to each other across years without knowing it. Yesterday, in the glow of a store display, in a flicker of televisions, in a brief shiver of memory, I saw that forgotten child again, and the thought whispered something to me. Maybe some memories return not because we remember them, but because they call us back. When evening came, I opened my history notebook as I do every day. I looked up what had happened on December 5th. In the middle of the page, one sentence stood out. December 5th, 1901. Walt Disney was born. I paused for a moment. Disney was the man who built the imagination of every child. But the irony was this. Yesterday, I had been found by the imagination of my own childhood. Disney's entire world was built on one quiet idea. A child does not get lost in time. Time hides inside the child. Even as the years pass, the small pair of eyes we once had keeps watching us, sometimes from far away, sometimes from terrifyingly close. And yesterday, under the light of a store display, I felt that child watching me again. Disney seemed to whisper to humanity, everyone in the world was once a child. That sentence unlocked the scene I had lived. When my 6-year-old self looked up at the sky, perhaps he felt the eyes I have today. And yesterday, when I looked upward, perhaps his eyes recognized mine. Time was no longer a straight line, but a circle, an echo, a returning loop, just like in Disney's stories. December 5th showed me an invisible bridge between past and future. And the one walking across that bridge was not a fairy tale hero, nor a ghost. It was simply me, the child I was and the person I have become, looking at each other in the same moment. And at the end of the day, I wrote this in my notebook. Yesterday was Walt Disney's birthday, but it was my day that the child in the past chose to touch. His day was heavy. Mine was light.